My last couple videos have been me bitching. I'm going to do it again. This will be, I guess, like a history kind of TSSM's worst category and why it's the worst category. It was never on the leaderboards. However, there is now on speedrun.com there is now like a cruise boost mod. It's like, yeah, there's like a TSSM mods series on SRC, and like a cruise boost mod is on there and AWT is on there. So for this, we need to go back to 2018. I believe it was 2018. So at this point, you know, world record in movie was like, I think it was either 132 or 131 by Chris, or it might have been 2017. Either way, the world record was either 132.50 or 131.10 by Chris in any percent. At this point in time, the game was, you know, considered by outsiders and stuff, you know, to be quite bogged down by how much sliding and driving and general backtracking there was. I've already made a video on, like, kind of like the evolution of the sliding and driving levels and why they are much more respected than they used to be. But the TLDR, you know, now we have a bunch of strats, like sandwich out of bounds and rubber dub skip and skydive. Most strats didn't exist at this point in time. I mean, there was lamp jumping gask. That's basically it. I mean, oh yeah, there's also like an eel jump in rock slide, but is pretty easy. And like the super jump path was known about, but I don't think we knew about the super jump itself. But that path is very easy, but it was also like a thing. But it wasn't just that either. It was also like all the, you know, the 5 ring challenges that were, you know, on top of that. BFB was getting more and more time saves, you know, and this game was not getting many, and people was still getting massive, like, 1 minute plus PBs. You know, in comparison, the game was not nearly as optimized, and it was not played as often, and it had more backtracking, and it had more filler-type segments. So, you know, at one point in time, Tedious and Shift were talking, and they had a discussion of, you know, how do we get BFB players to try out movie, right? And the first attempt of this originally was extended cheap percent, which is not a category anymore. But what that was you could only warp to the first task of every level, and you had to get every token in every level except for the sliding and driving levels. So you start at the beginning of SCDA, and you're not allowed to grab the warps and then, like, warp, you know, you gotta actually, like, you know, I gotta walk onto the sponge ball pad and enter it, and, you know, can't do 2-frame tokens unless it takes me back to unless I warp back to the beginning, or whatever, or warp to a different level. The category was not popular, and this will be foreshadowing. Part of the reason why is because, you know, you still have to do the 3 guitar challenges. Depression, okay, yeah, it's like 50 to 60 seconds long, as who gives a fuck. BBBH is like a minute, it's like a minute 50 to 2 minutes, you know, but it's also easy. SCDA guitar was considered hard back then because there are several rings where you just cannot know which direction they are going. Like, you can't predict where they will be placed from the past couple rings with a lot of them. So you need to have, You need to have practiced it a bit or just done it a lot of times in runs until you eventually understand, like, where the rings are. People did not want to play the category because of that. and now that we're in combat because it's enemy spam and it's pretty fucking ridiculous. Oh, also, you were allowed upgraded cheats, upgraded moves cheat, and max health cheat. I think you were allowed that one. So that didn't go too well because you have to do the combats and the rings and shit. Although I will say that it only got axed in 2020, so that's something. And a similar category to that exists now. By the way, it's called all platforming levels, but that lets you warp wherever you want, whenever you want. So you can just get the combats out of the way, like, immediately, for example, if you want to. Yeah, you lose a little bit of time on scrolls or whatever, but, like, I mean, fuck it, you know, why not? But yeah, that's like, we improved that category, but that was, like, the original intent of it. That didn't really work well. So what was instead, conceptualized, it might have been 2017, it might have been, like, late 2017, I genuinely do not remember, was all world tokens. Well, okay, so I don't remember what it was first called. We've gone back and forth with its names a few times. But it was, when it was first made, it was either called all world tokens or all main tasks. And I don't remember which. It might have also been AMT, all main tokens, but I don't think it was called that. I don't remember. But either way, it is now known as, what's it called? AWT, all world tokens. So what this category is, it is every token except for the sliding and driving levels and the pad challenges. So no sponge balls, no floating blocks, no combats. Additionally, the only cheats that you're allowed to use are the unlock all tasks cheat, and the unlock all moves cheat, not macho, only the regular moves. Then, if you process that already, now the next thing I gotta tell you is that you are only allowed to warp to the first token of every task, or a task that you have already collected the token for. So, you can warp from, I don't know, plank ice skating to plank ice skating, but only if you have already collected the token. And this isn't a rule, but people have wanted in recent times to allow the player to warp to tasks that they have naturally unlocked, which is only useful for bounceless, but that isn't an actual thing. It's just what some people have wanted. So, I mean, yeah, that's basically, that's all the rules. So, I went for world record in this category. I think it was, it's hard to remember who originally held it. It was probably Tedious, then Chris, then me. I say Chris because you see world record 39, 38-bit Chris. And then I'm playing on PAL 360, so this was 2018. I think it was shortly after my 129.07. But, like, this is an example of what the run looked like at the time. So you just do the cheats, and then no cheese was, like, the old shit, you know, just like the standard stuff that you would expect. Okay, I guess it'd be faster to do the cheats on the trampoline. I don't know why I did the cheats now. Also, I just remembered, back then, back in 2018, we had a rule, kind of, well, it's less of a rule and more so just something that we didn't think about. We forced you to do to do every level in order. Or rather, there was no need to do it out of order. You will eventually see that it's out of order, But right now, there was no real benefit to it, and we just didn't think about it. So right now, we're doing all the levels in order. So we get to do Creek with Cartwheel, so it's easy, but, I mean, you know. And then, you know, we just, yeah, I mean, this is a very normal depression segment. It's just the exact same as before, but with Cartwheel, Creek, and guitar here. And then, one pretty AIDS aspect is, like, 2-framing end-level tokens. Like, so I'm supposed to be getting to the negative stuff later, but yeah, like, one pretty significant thing, like, I got the 1-frame there, but if you missed that, that is a monstrous amount of time loss. We will get to that later, though. And then 3K, you know, pretty standard shit, I believe. Obviously, just, like, no sponge ball. I went straight from bounce to the bounce token because no bounceless and no sponge ball. And then I'm gonna do Steam Daily afterwards, and then I'm gonna grab the end-level token. Very basic stuff. BBBH, compared to any percent at the time, this actually was different. Because basically, at this point in BBBH, we did BBBH backwards. So in BBBH 1 and any percent, you grab the end-level token, and then come back later in guitar, and then do the level backwards quite fast. Here, we're doing it forwards. So it's just very, very, very standard BBBH forwards if you have seen it. In fact, like, actually, it's even slower because I gotta move my ass over to the guitar challenge. So I'm not grabbing the SCDA Spongeable Warp. Oh yeah, I'm doing Through and Through on the way as well, which means a non-predictable cycle, which is kind of is. But yeah, now I gotta do, like, this long way around, do the guitar challenge, and then get the end-level token. And then, of course, I gotta do Frogfish. I mean, that's pretty, you know, standard. Now that we're men, Tunnel, it was with Bungie, as you can imagine, like, it was just, like, just the general shit that you would expect. Same with the second area, too, just no floating block, I think, which at the time was appreciated, because that meant no floating block skip, and floating block skip was, like, pretty AIDS. SCDA, very similar, except you don't have to grab the Spongeable Warp. And you gotta do guitar on the way, obviously. Dennis is what you would expect. Dennis 2 is what you would expect. Now, as for Planktopolis, it is essentially what you would expect, because at this point... Well, okay, so way back in the day, Plank used to be done in all one segment in 90%, but it did divide into 2 segments, but this is basically just the 2 segments combined into one, except with no Plank Sponge Ball. So actually, it's basically the same as no port storage as Planktopolis today. Funnily enough, because we get all these same tokens in this order as well, except without having to warp back to the beginning to unlock guitar. So that was the run back then. So pretty basic. You can kind of see the appeal, though, if you think about 2018 90%. It didn't have those... Well, it got rid of 2 of those pesky rings. You know, and it got rid of, like, sandwich driving and rub-a-dub and, you know, just all this stuff. Like, at the time, pretty much the only sliding and driving level that was pretty much considered good, really, was Gesk. And yeah, this doesn't have some hard stuff like floating block skip and guest jumps and stuff, but it still has like 3 meter. And the thing is as well, is that because the category is much shorter, you need to play closer to the sum of best. Which means that, like, you gotta play pretty good. So even though, like, No Cheese, Depression, you know, 3K are all very similar, and BBBH is kind of just worse, you can kind of see the appeal. Again, the actual, like, pretty toxic thing is, like, these 2 frames. There's a shit ton of them in the run. You know, No Cheese is 1, and that already, if you miss out, loses, like, 9 seconds. Creek is the second one. Bounce is the third one, so it's the same as any percent except, like, because the category is shorter, like, they matter even more. So it's already 3. Then in 3K, Bungie is 4. And then the end level token is 5. And then, oh, no, yeah, Depression and... Wait, hold on. No Cheese is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I miscounted originally. And then BBBH would be, like, 7. Now the MM would be... like, 9? Like, 8 or 9? I think it'd be 8. No, it'd be 9, it'd be 9. And then SCDA would add that up to 11. And then Plank would add that up to 12, I think. So there's 12 of them, pretty AIDS, but I mean, whatever. But yeah, like, so on the one hand, it's like, this is pretty similar to what we're doing anyway, and was in some ways easier, but on the other hand, much shorter, you know, you can kind of see the appeal, you know. The thing is, as well, is that every console can play this, even PS2 if you really want, and other than loads, there's no disadvantage, so... You know, we didn't have this, but at the time, if you had some sort of, like, load conversion or something, then... You know, it could have... You know, so... God, I sucked back then, Jesus Christ. Was this the one where I got the weird... No, okay, that didn't happen that run. Alright, so... Cracks are already starting to show, though, you know... Isn't it kind of weird to, like, try and get BFB... Okay, keep in mind, back then, right? God, I suck. Like, and this isn't just, like, hyperbole, really. Well, I mean, it is hyperbole, but I'm not, like, making shit up. Like, back then, a lot of the battle runners would be, like, they would basically just say, like... The good part of the run is late game when you have cruise boosting. Essentially, you know, heavily implying that if cruise boosting did not exist, they would not run the game. The game had pretty, even though it, you know, it was getting more and more stuff, a lot of it was cruise boosting related, and the run got better and better, and now they have a no cruise boost category or whatever. So clearly now the game is good enough to where it doesn't need cruise boosting, but back then, it wouldn't be a very good speed game, honestly, if it didn't have cruise. I mean, it'd be alright, but, like, that was, like, the big thing about it. That was like, the thing about this category. I mean, about that game. Was the cruise boosting. So, automatically, trying to make a category that movie play, for battle runs to transition to movie, already, especially in this time, in this era, like, not a good idea, because... Well, because this game doesn't have cruise boosting. And also, sliding and driving is a big aspect of this game. I worked out in 2018, like, a percentage of how much of the run is taken up by sliding and driving, and it was, like, 42%, I think. And then after Mindy Skip, which reduced the number of sliding and driving tokens, I checked it again, and this time it was about 40%, because it also reduced, like, platforming sections, so the sliding and driving levels that still existed were effectively even longer relative to the total length of the run, because the total length of the run went down by close to 20 minutes, whilst the remaining sliding and driving levels that do still exist still take up the same amount of time, which means a greater percentage. And I did another one a few months ago, and it was like 41%. Even with all the little time saves that we found for those levels now. So, obviously, like, it's a big aspect of the game. And trying to get rid of it is very hard, because any way that you do it is extremely arbitrary. That's the thing. Like, because this category... like, it's not like, you know, it was void of battle runners, like, playing it and were just like, oh yeah, no, this is actually good. Like, there were battle runners who legitimately thought that this was, like, a good category or whatever. But I'm just saying, for the most part, they want cruise boosting, and, like, you give them this, and it has no cruise boosting, and then they're gonna be like, Lamau game bad. The thing is, as well, is that, like, this is an arbitrary way of getting rid of sliding address. Like, it's so arbitrary. I mean, I already went over the rules. Unlock all tasks. Alright, yeah, that's very standard. That's fair enough. Unlock cheats, but not macho? Huh? Why? Keep in mind, in 2017/18, our manlies were high. Like, we didn't really have any manly issues in this category, so it was just kind of like a weird thing to do. And as for, like, you know, only being able to warp to the first task of every token or tokens you've already collected, by that logic then, shouldn't we not allow 2 frames? Because when you 2-frame a token, you kind of effectively haven't picked it up until, like, the loading screen, really. Like, when you press start on the 2nd frame specifically, the token count does not go up by 1 until after the load is finished. So even though you've technically picked it up, like, you don't, like, there's no actual proof before you load in that you collected it. Like, in a way, you kind of haven't collected it until after the load, so why do we allow that? As kind of arbitrary. But, you know, whatever. Again, this category is much shorter. It got a few people interested in the game. Every version outside of loads, could compete. You know, it's kind of whatever. You know, kind of unspectacular, but yeah. But of course, that is not where the story ends. Because, again, you know, leaning more to, like, the battle perspective, people, like, the whole thing was just movie bad because they'd find, like, literally any reason to criticize the game. Oh, Patrick having cartwheeling is not original because in the BFB 100% cutscene, there's, like, a 2-second clip of Patrick doing a fucking slow-ass cartwheel. Like, I'm gonna just loop this video now. Well, just put it back in depression. Like just huffing as much copium as, like, physically possible. And, yeah, like, oh, the token frames, free, not easy, free, they would say free. Like, 99% of the time they say free. Oh, it's free because it's a 2-frame and not a 1-frame. And let me tell you something, the tokens are cancerous. They are actually so fucking bad. Like, okay, like, they're so specific, it's hard to describe. But, like, on the frame that you pause, if you, like, change your angle, like, at all, there's a chance that it won't work. If you, like, are, like, 0.01 units off from a different setup, you can just sometimes not collect the 2-frame compared to other times, and because humans can't see that, there are times where you are just physically incapable of collecting the token. Additionally, the no cheese one is a fucking 1-frame, not a 2-frame. And the mistakes are costly, and what these runners were also not factoring as well is that, yeah, our tricks were easier overall, but the run was longer. We had to favor consistency. And again, they'd find like any fucking reason to like well, first of all, they would do anything to big up the game, even at a time where, like, the hard tricks were, like, Sponge Museum and kids. It'd be like, cruise boosting is, a double 1-frame, which is, like, you know, like, that is, like, the most, like, I can't think of the word because I have a mushy brain, but that's just, like, the most sly way that you can describe it is like, oh, double frame perfect. Like, yeah, it's technically frame perfect, but it's like the easiest, it's one of the easiest forms of one frame possible. Like, especially for a double, it has to be like one of the easiest double one frames, like, in fucking speedrunning existence. Like, I'm not saying that there's no skill to it or anything. Of course there is. They gotta do a shit ton of them. I'm just saying, like, they're making the game sound harder than it actually was, and while making this game sound easier than it actually was. Oh, floating block skip is a one frame, but that's all it is, a one frame. We have tower sock one frame. Like, tower sock one frame is a 3-second sock. You can try it an infinite number of times. If you miss floating block skip, it is a 17-second time loss, and even if you get the recovery, you only have one more shot at it before you get the full time loss, the full flat time loss. And even with the recovery, it still loses 10 seconds. That was over 40 minutes into the run. Over 40 minutes into the run. And one frame damage animations in movie are objectively harder than in battle because, right? Hold on, my Switch download is finished. Do I want to download anything else? Yeah, I'll re-download Let's Go Eevee. Okay. So... fuck, I forgot what I was saying now. I said something about, like, bro, whose name is Sir Epic 72? That is... Why would you have a username like that? Oh, yeah, I remember now. The reason why is because in that game, you don't, like, SpongeBob, when you get damaged in goo, SpongeBob doesn't actually lose health. But in movie, you do. So basically, if you did 1,000 one-frame damage boosts in battle, it would just automatically be harder, easier than in movie, because it would take longer to do 1,000. And by the time that you get to 1,000 goes at it in movie, you could have done way more in battle, which means that you'd just be better at the one frames because you've done them more. But of course, it wouldn't factor in that. Also, like, there was never a reason in literally any point in that game to do Tower Sock. Like, even at its absolute worst, like, the next slowest sock would literally be, like, fucking 5 seconds instead of 3. Like, there was never, ever any justification to ever do that sock. And you might be thinking, why is all this important? But the reason why is because, like, this is... The reason why this category exists is because we were trying to cater to people like that. Who shat on the game, never gave it a chance, bigged up their game for being harder than it actually was, while making fun of this game for being for claiming it was easier than it actually was. And they weren't going to play this game anyway, because that was an era with, like, the only reason why anybody played battle was because of cruise boosting. So the whole fucking thing was pointless. And yeah, did movie runners play this? Of course they did. But it was like, honestly, like, the ratio was like half battle runners, half movie runners. It really wasn't like a big, like, majority of movie runners. And while I'm on this, like, tangents, let me go on another little mini tangent. The fucking criticisms of bash boosting are so fucking sad. Like, they're so pathetic. Like, because instead of having to do, like, one-frame damage boost of SpongeBob, we were holding the Y button. Oh, wow, game's free, game's easy, Lamau hold Y. Let me show you something, right? Dude, I hate the Twitch video player. I don't know, back in the day, I just didn't submit this to... I just didn't export it to YouTube, no idea why. So you're telling me, back in 2016 to 2018, you're telling me that people would have been willing to... Keep in mind that Depression was reset hell, and we still had those 2 frames to worry about. And you're telling me that people would have done a 1-frame damage boost here. No, they would not have. That is the ironic thing about the bash boost criticism. What it would have actually done would have absolutely crippled the fucking game and ruined it, and it never would have gotten to the point that it is today. Because nobody would have ran this game because it would have been hyper-toxic. Like, the way that this game is structured, you're able to get more 1-frames in compared to, like, 2018 Battle. People would not have done this damage boost. They would have walked around, unless they missed, like, No Cheese and Depression 2 frames. If they missed, like, all of them, they probably would have done this. But otherwise, they probably would have just walked around. And, like, what's the like? That's improving the game, and that's not the only one either. There's also like arena skip at the end of 3K, but I want to show you like the big one, like the big. Also, keep in mind that we were still doing a 1 frame for disco skip. I still want to point that out, but they're like image easy because we have tower suck 1 frame. You had never had a reason to do. You literally in that entire game's history never ever had a reason to do that fucking shit. Making the game harder just to like brag about the game being hard. When in comparison to now, that game was like 1 out of 10 fucking baby difficulty back then, compared to the shit that it is now. That now is definitely that game is just unbelievably hard. However, that game has gone so hard to the point where I feel like it's made the game worse, but, you know, that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, there's some bash boosting stuff in now, though, man, including here. We would not bash boost here, we would just bold these buttons. Wow, that's making the run better, isn't it? Like, these people with these do you use your brain, like, ever, like, in the history of your entire life? Like, have you ever used it a single time? Here's another one, right? Oopsies. We would have had to have done double fucking 1 frame crisp skip. Double 1 frame crisp skip. No one would have done that. No one would have done that ever. Right? And what's immediately after double 1 frame crisp skip? Double 1 frame monster skip. Wow, that's actually... You are so intelligent, and you deserve to have opinions. Double 1 frame monster skip. And what's immediately after this in any percent? Floating block skip immediately after. And what's immediately after floating block skip? A 2-frame token that if you miss, you lose like 10 fucking seconds. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's crazy, man. That you like that's really telling. That is really telling of the type of people that we were trying to cater to, by the way. So while that tangent may have sounded unnecessary, that is like the first major point of this whole thing. Those were the people that we were catering to. Like, yeah, okay. Also, there would have been a 1 frame, a big 1 frame as well in Plank Tablos. Alright, so that is what the run was like back then. However, I'm going to show you the current world record. It's not a good world record, but I will show you the current world record. So as you can see by this point, it has gone down from a 38. I think I said in the description the 37 was realistic. I think I said that. So I guess 37 was possible at this point in time. And at this point in time, 33 is possible. So it's gone down a lot. So what has changed in these past, like, 4 years? Well, a lot has actually changed about this category. Lag clips. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, another thing that's changed is that we now let you just do the tokens. You still gotta warp to the first task of every level, but you can go and do any level in any order you want. And one cool thing about this run, kind of, was that there were a bunch of routes that you could do. But honestly, most of them are kind of obsolete now. There's kind of like, if you're on OG and are doing like all the lag clips, there kind of is like an objectively best route that you can take, pretty much. So, yeah, and also, yeah, because of lag clips, yeah, OG benefits a lot, but we will get to that. So lag clip here, and then we have buffers, but you can't buffer this token after doing this. At least I don't think you can. And then depression's changed quite a lot. I will say something. This category had what was a really toxic token, but it's been fixed now, but not of the time of this world record. So you do a lag clip. This is a guitar lag clip. You glide over to the marshmallow, you clip back in. We originally, whether or not you actually clip back in was RNG. Not RNG, just luck, but now it's not luck. We know how to do it now. So that's no longer a factor in the game, in the category being, like, bad or whatever, but... And then, as you can see, so the path is a little different, and, you know, and you still 2 frame, but like buffers made this category a lot less insufferable. There's even more 2 frames now, because there's the dentist 2 frames, although they can't be buffered, but yeah. But those can actually be made 100% consistent. So yeah, the consistency of this level has like massively increased. There is a lag clip here, but I didn't do it. You can clip like here and save like 15-20 seconds, something like that, but I didn't do it. So that's kind of cool. You do bungee, 2 frame token, and then yeah, bounce, and steamed early like before, and then warp to steamed. I mean, yeah, warp to steamed, then do the end. And now we do plank now because you really need manlies. So manlies have like really fucked. Like as we got better at we used to just chip at manlies here and there, but that is not the case anymore. We found there's too many strats. We play too good. We are cutting corners too much. So unironically, the most optimal thing you can do now. Well, this isn't the. We recently realized this isn't the most optimal thing you can do, but I will get to that because it is not a good thing. But up to this point, the best thing you could do was just grind and plank. But yeah, that was another lag clip. So that was kind of cool. Again, now like this has more appeal in the sense that it like it's more different from no pause storage. However, honestly, there are aspects of it that are actually quite similar to like early powers and even a little bit of APL, but still, you know, it's got some identity to it now. There's a lag clip here now called Sponge Glide, but it didn't exist at this point. Yeah, so my run fucking sucks now. I don't remember if the run was bad like back then, but it's certainly bad now. With the 3K clip and the plank clip, plus like getting out of depression more often, like god, that's so much time save. That's literally like 30 seconds of time save and more consistency. But yeah, as you can see, I'm getting the stack a couple times. I fucked it up. But how many times do I get this? 3 times? Okay. So that's a bit AIDS, but not a big deal. And now, here's something kind of unique to this category. We realized that BBBH backwards actually can be done here, but instead of climbing partway up the slide, you gotta climb the literal entire way up the slide. These jumps are really fucking hard. When you're doing this many, there's a shit ton. It's literally like, I don't know the exact number or anything, but it's probably like 40 or something, like it's a lot. And now you do guitar storage. And now you're doing BBBH backwards, like how you would do it in NMG or all tokens. Including guitar. And, you know, just normal backwards shenanigans, except without Sponge Ball. And then you go down the slide for the end level token. And now we're at Now That We're Men. There is a cool lag clip, but unfortunately, like, you can't do it because you need to do bungee. I think I died. God, this run sucks. Dude, I died there too. Yeah, no, this run's terrible. You can do a lag clip here. It's pretty AIDS and it saves like 3 seconds, but yeah, you can do it. And then here, you know, the standards, Chris Monster End. And now this will be same sort of shit as before. I think it's like, I think SCDA is like pretty much identical to before, which is kind of funny. And then you just do a boss gauntlet at this point, because at this point you've upgraded everything, so you can do Dennis, Frogfish, Dennis 2, and then Neptune. So that's the category now. Again, there's like pretty much an objective like best route. And what I will say, something was realized recently that is like so goddamn bad. I should have pulled the video up, but now I can't be asked. This video is already longer than I mean, I thought this video was gonna be like an hour max, but with 39 minutes in, and I haven't even gone to like the main point because I went on a big tangent. So one thing that was realized is that one way to fix the manlies would be to not upgrade Bowl, because the only thing that we use it for is Lobster and Dennis 2, and optimally you can get past the Lobster anyway. Unupgraded Bowl Dennis 2 Actually, you know what, fuck it. I'll pause the recording real quick and get a video. Okay, I'm back. Here's Dennis. You want to look at the right side gameplay? So for an upgraded bowl, obviously, like, you gotta be a lot more direct with your shots. If you miss him, like, you're fucked. So you bowl him again, and then wait for him to do his taunt, and then at a certain point you bowl again, bowl him again, and then you take a safe distance from the slammer, and then you bowl again. Now, the reason why this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, I've tried it myself. I practiced it for probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours total. It's fucking bad. There are two hyper-toxic components of this. So the first is that with this shot, you specifically want Dennis to, with this shot, sorry. You want Dennis, you see him in the background, you want him to do that animation. However, and I really have tried to find something, but it is a seemingly random chance that he does not do this, and instead flops to the ground. And if he does that, it's fucked. You gotta hit him. So, if you do this optimally, Dennis would die right here. With the flop, I don't think he can die here. Right? And even if he could, you wouldn't have time to. The reason? This slammer. Now, so the alternate strat that you can do here to more quickly react to Dennis belly flopping is that you get hit by Dennis's spike thingies, and then the slammer like taunts you. And then in that time, you have time to bowl Dennis again, which is also what would be ideal as well, even just for the quick kill. However, the slammer has a random chance to, like, probably like 50% chance to end his taunt animation early, and if he does that, you're absolutely fucking fucked. So, you basically can't do that, and you basically have to walk your ass back here. But then, right, if Dennis belly flops, then you have literally no chance of getting the quick kill. And, right, even if you are in this position, like shown in the right side gameplay, there is a very small window to actually get the quick kill on Dennis. A very small window. Like, I mean, you saw how fucking fast that was. I mean, you can't do it too early, I think, and you can't do it too late. So if I'm not mistaken, if Sky waited a tiny bit longer for Dennis to land on the ground, then just a teeny bit, then it would have worked. But then you only have, like, at most, this is probably, like, half a second at most window. Like, it's so toxic, and obviously nowadays that'd be with the 2-frame as well, the 1-frame rather, at the end of the thingy. But yeah, if you do this, then you can skip 2 grinds in Plank, I think, and that'd save quite a bit of time. So, not upgrading Bowl saves like 3 seconds. This Dennis, if done perfectly, loses 6 seconds, but minus 3, so it loses 3 seconds, but then you don't have to get the stacks. And then, so, I don't know how much it's saving at that point. Maybe, like, I don't know, like 18 seconds? But then you have to do Natherman Lobster Clip, and that shit is fucking terrible. So, like, unironically, like... Oh, and it loses even slightly less than I thought, because you won't be able to bowl the eel in Natherman as quickly, which means that you lose, like, frames even and at the beginning with the paddle wheels. Yeah, so you'll lose, like, half a second or some shit. God, this sucks. So, what you would want the route to change to at this point, you'd want to do, like, probably No Cheese Depression 3K, but then you'd want to probably do... either Natherman, then Dennis, then Plank, or Dennis 2, or Dennis 2, then Plank, then Now That We're Men, or then BBBH, then Now That We're Men, like something like that. You'd probably want to do some shit like that. So yeah, that's like pretty AIDS. And I will say that the ETU has that issue as well. And it's debatable if it's worse or not. Because ETU has to do it much later, but there's no lobster clip. So it's like questionable. But yeah, like this is how you do this as optimally as possible. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is that not allowing upgraded moves fucked us. There was no reason not to allow it back in the day because our manlies were completely fine. And now that it's just been an established thing, we fucked ourselves. Like, we just fucked ourselves. So... yeah, So now this category, I do think, you know, has gone better. However, at this point, in the wake of lag clips, you know, some battle runners were still playing the category, but oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier as well. AWT didn't really change many battle runners' minds anyway. It made people go from movie bad in its entirety to movie bad. And then half of those people would say, oh, except AWT, that one's okay/good. And then that was, like, the best you'd get. But they still wouldn't play it. And then what do you know? People, especially back in, like, 2016, 2017, movie runners would be like, wow, battle's so battle runners would be like, wow, movie's so easy. And then they'd run movie, and then they'd get absolutely nowhere remotely close to world record. And then they'd go back to battle, just claiming that movie is so bad or boring or whatever, not admitting that they literally just bad at the game. Like, fucking... God, I hate them so much. So yeah, the 2 frames aren't toxic anymore. The lag clips are kind of a problem, though. These lag clips have essentially a they do benefit the actual run itself. The problem that they have, though, is that GameCube and PS2 just don't even have a chance anymore. It's gone to the point that, compared to what you could be playing, this category isn't really worth playing on GameCube or PS2 anymore. And that is the case with some other categories, too, but I'm just saying, like, this is the main benefiter of lag clips, I think. This and early powers. Well, you can't play early powers, actually, unless you're on Xbox because of Mindy Skip, but, like, with this category, you can play on GameCube, PS2, but there's almost no point, really. But also, these lag clips are fucking annoying. Obviously, again, we've already established why Creek was bad and now isn't. This clip isn't bad, but it's the fucking token frame that's, like, horrible. The 3K clip is kind of cringe, which is why I didn't do it, but it's not, like, the end of the world. The plank ones are also, like, fine. There is one that I didn't do in this run. But I don't even know if it's fast, to be honest. But you can, like, lag clip out and, like, do bounce as SpongeBob instead of Patrick, but I don't even know if it's faster. I don't think it is, actually, now that I think about it, because then you can't 2-frame the Bungie token. Yes, it's probably not faster. Okay. But yeah, jumping all the goddamn way up the slide is so bad. I hate it. The guitar challenges are kind of cringe, but I mean, you know, we can't justify getting rid of them. Like, that's so overkill. This categories are already, like, barely doing anything in the first place. The run ends with, I think is it 28? Yeah, 28 tokens collected. You know what I mean? What the fuck are we supposed to call this category if we're not allowing guitar challenge, if we're not doing guitar challenges? You know what I mean? And now that we're at this point, before we get to the grand finale of the actual category, because I think this category is, like, fine, but I need to set the stage for, like, what's to come. Because no matter what, I can never shake off what this category was made for. At the end of the day, even if no battle runners play it anymore, and even though the movie Le Bad crowd is significantly, like, reduced compared to before, This category was made to try and cater to battle runners, and it just didn't really do anything for the game's reputation. So I kind of hate why and it was just a lost cause in the first place, and we should have had the foresight back then to realize that. And I can never really shake that off. So I'll always have, like, a partial disliking to this category, to be honest. But the dentist thing is AIDS. Lobster clip is AIDS. You basically have to play on Xbox. Again, that's a bunch of categories, but this one more so than most. Like, yeah. I guess, like, one other thing that I haven't mentioned yet, is that the lag clips are actually, like, pretty fucking terrible on 360. They're way harder. They are consistent, but the window is significantly shorter, and the lag is slower. So on OG, you're doing select, but on Xbox 360, you would press start, and then start, and it's slower. So the lag clips... So even though 360 has faster loads, a lot of it is negated by this anyway, and the lag clips are so much harder... and you wouldn't have buffers for 2 frames. So 360, I think, theoretically could compete. For, like, it might even theoretically be faster, potentially, but it'll never actually... 360 is so much harder that if you're going for a top time, you basically have to play on OG. And again, that's other categories too, but this one is more immediately toxic with it. Of course, you need to play on OG to get world record and no pause storage and shit like that, right? But you can get really far on 360, whereas with this... like, you are at such a massive disadvantage that it's discouraging from the get-go. This clip is way harder, and at this point, like, you need to get no cheese frame and creek frame, and then you gotta do bounce frame, which is fine on its own. And then if you miss this, like, run's dead, so you gotta reset. And also, if you miss that token, by the way, you have to soft reset your console, or else you get Mindy Stare, so, here. So missing that token is especially bad. Like, this clip is harder on 360 than didn't do. It just, every clip is harder. Like, every single clip. Now, the next thing I'm gonna complain about are the categories rules and how specific they are. Also, the very first clip in the beginning of Plank is also quite bad, too, and that one saves a lot. So, do you even remember the rules? You, the viewer, do you remember the rules? You probably don't remember every single one. If it wasn't complicated enough, right? Apparently runners agree, because, right? This game, or rather this category, the rules are so complicated, right? That somebody got a world record in this category and they broke a rule on accident. That has never happened in this game's history. Because to get a world record, even... yeah, my time was abysmal for my skill level, but my skill level is quite a lot higher than everybody else's. So therefore, then, they need to put in a decent amount of effort to get even to beat my worst world records. That's not me flexing. That's me just trying to get across the point. So the worst world record on the boards was AWT, so got beaten by an intermediate level player after not too much effort. But they broke a rule. Like, you know, what rule did they break? They did bounceless because they thought you could warp the tasks if you had naturally unlocked them. Why didn't we allow that? Because bounceless didn't exist back in the day when this category existed, and then when it was found, we just didn't think to add it. So... should we allow that? I don't know. I mean, that's another really arbitrary rule. I mean, we could. I mean, it'd literally only be beneficial for bounceless, but I mean, we could. But yeah, like... like, the fact that that happened is insane. Because that's how complicated the rules are, and I'm not done. We then were like, okay, we need to thoroughly check all of the runs on the boards, right? And let me tell you something, right? We had to reject, like, somewhere around a fifth to a quarter of all of the runs on AWT leaderboards. I'm not joking. We had to get rid of quite a lot of runs because they did bounceless. That is fucking ridiculous. Right? Oh, also, by the way, with I keep forgetting things with battle. A lot of the battle runners tried out the category before lag clips, and then shortly after some lag clips were found, but in its stage where it has, like, the most lag clips ever and shit like that, remember, the category is, like, arguably at its best, except for fucking Dennis Bolstra, Jesus Christ. Like, they're not playing it. Oh, I wonder why. Well, it's almost like they're gonna play the category that has the fucking tech that they like. I mean, fucking hell. But yeah, I mean, essentially, I forgot what I was saying again. But yeah, I think I've kind of set the stage for what this category is. Voice crack, thank you. Oh yeah, I was saying about, like, how we had to reject a lot of runs, and that just hasn't really been a thing with other categories. Again, that just shows how complicated the rules are. And you could say just read the rules CAC-W, but, like, imagine somebody, like, brand new to the game, and they just can barely comprehend the rules. Like, I could definitely see that happening. I mean, even experienced people misread the fucking rules, apparently. I mean, Jesus. And yeah, the person who got the world record should have known. They should have double-checked, but, you know, it is still their fault. But, like, it's not 100% their fault, is what I'm saying. Like, this category is so arbitrary. It's like the type of category that'd be on the Super Mario World category extensions boards. If you haven't seen those boards, you need to fucking look at them. You seriously, pause this video right fucking now, go look at the Super Mario World extensions boards. You will be actually... You will fucking Wojak for an hour straight. But yeah. This is what the category is. That is why it exists. I said the good and bad about it. Now, we get to the final thing. The final thing that I actually wanted to bitch about. And one other, like, aspect as well. Like, one more thing to do with the battle runners, but we will get to... I'm saving it for, like, almost at the end. AWT CBC Cruise Boost Codes. This has, this existed in 2018 or 19. And essentially, it's like, we would... I don't know. I don't even... I don't think I was part of the discussion for this. I don't remember... honestly, but people were like, you know, movie AWT is cool and all, but what's it missing? Cruise boosting. Well, why not have a cruise boost code, and then we can play the category with cruise boosting. Now, on the surface, that might sound good. It's like, damn, finally, these fucking people have nothing to bitch about anymore. But of course, you know, the category lasted a few weeks, nobody played it after that, and then Lamau Movie Bad happened again. So, it didn't even fucking do anything anyway. Like, pretty much everybody who played this, which wasn't many people, were battle runners. And it's like, why would I play this when I have battle? Maybe it's like, you should stick to that fucking game then. Why did we try to cater to you? Anyway, this isn't me shitting on Rubber. I like Rubber, he's cool. This isn't me targeting Rubber or anything like that. It's me getting angry at the category's existence in the first place. So, how do you obtain these, Cruise Boost codes? What do you gotta do? Well, you just, you know, download a code, or whatever, you, like, copy-paste a code, put in Dolphin, and it works. It's like, oh, a Dolphin, you say, yeah? I mean, you know, you could probably use, Wii as well, I'd imagine. But yes, I don't know if anything like this would exist for PS2, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to play on PS2 if you have access to Dolphin. So, yeah, you can't activate Cruise Boost codes on Xbox. To play this category, you have to play on fucking GameCube. Now, why is that such a big deal, you may be asking? Well, I'll fucking tell you why. I'll fucking tell you. I will tell you, right? Well, actually, I'll fucking show you. Let's have a look at this run. I know I'm not gonna say anything until it's over. When the timer starts. Holy shit, bro. You make me... There we go. That's a little strange. That load was really fucking long. Huh. I wonder how fast Xbox's loads are, then. Yep. Yep, you saw that, right? Like 21 seconds compared to 9 point something. And if you're playing on 360, you can get 8 seconds, in fact. Like, we saw the same thing, right? And I'm not done. I'm not fucking done. Because this is what I'm actually gonna say this one, right? You cannot lag clip on this version. Yep. You can't lag clip on this version. So we've already established why old AWT was a fucking disaster. We've already established why new AWT is better than old AWT because of how much more unique it is, you know, and adds, like, these cool lag things and all that. And, now, this... Okay, I will say that this existed only when a couple of the lag clips existed. But yeah, the people were sacrificing these lag clips, these fast loads, for this. And the reason why they were doing that was just for cruise boosting. This was before LCBs, DCBs. The most intense thing in the run was RCBs. That was as crazy as it got. This shit, right? They were sacrificing these lag clips, which add skill and look cool, and were willing to suffer these extremely long loads so that they could get a 5-speed cruise boost. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? Is this going through? I hope it is. I fucking hope it is. This drives me insane. Like, the fact that this happened, the fact that we allowed this. Like, I don't remember if I was part of allowing this or not, but if I was, I'm not fucking forgiving myself for that. What the fuck is wrong with me if so? Why does this exist? Why does this exist? You want to know how slow no lag clips is? You want to know how slow these loads are? This shit is so fucking slow that you can't beat AWT on Xbox. The world record on Xbox is faster than what you could possibly get on fucking GameCube with the Cruise Boost code. The run is literally slower. It has cruise boosting and it's slower, and people were willing to accept it. Also, by the way, BBBH felt like shit because on the GameCube version it's 30 FPS, but more importantly, the GameCube version can infinite load. It's not a very high chance. I don't know what the chance is, maybe like 0.5 to 1% every load, but there's a lot of loads. You know, if you run the game a lot, that's gonna add up. You're bound to infinite load eventually. So yeah, you can just load it. You can just play this category, get to Neptune, infinite fucking load. You're willing to cruise boost for that? Are you fucking insane? Are you actually insane? There is something wrong with you, bro. That's going a little far. Sorry, I'm just mad. I am fucking mad. But I should be mad at the run, not the players. But, yeah, I mean, fuck me, man. Like, this shit was just like, what the fuck? No cheese clip and depression clip and stuff like that. And hell, even back in the day, even if this was before all of the lag, it'd still be questionable. Because, like, Yeah, okay, with cruise boosting, it'd probably be, like, a little faster, but, like, slower loads and infinite load, like, really? But, I mean, okay, you know, maybe there's something. But no, you're sacrificing what makes the category actually fucking good for slow loads for a 5-speed cruise boost. Like, why, man? Why? The loads are so slow. That load you saw, that's like every fucking load. Like, and there are still several points where you don't actually want a cruise boost. And you know what? The runners weren't satisfied with this because, you know, of course they weren't. You want to know the two things that were requested that never came to be, right? Number one, some of them wanted to remove guitar challenges from the run, thereby removing the entire point of it being called all world tokens or even all main tasks. There's nothing good you can call it at that point. What the fuck? Literally, what are you supposed to call it? Right? But they wanted that because, obviously, guitar, no benefit to cruise boosting there. And yeah, in theory, makes sense. But, like, we can't do that, man. We're already catering to you so much. We're already basically admitting to you, like, yeah, 40% of our run is le hashtag bad. I mean, I didn't think it was. I'm just saying, like, we had to basically give that impression. We had to give the impression that the only good thing about the run was the fucking platforming stuff. You know, to cater to people who only play a game because of cruise boosting. And then they don't want to play this because it doesn't have cruise boosting. And then when it finally gets cruise boosting, they're still complaining. And this goes back to the extended cheap percent thing. They wouldn't play that because of guitar challenges and BBBH and now the main combat. You can't cater to these people. You can't. Because even if we did remove the guitar challenges, which you could say, ah, come on, you can remove the guitar challenges. You are not ready to hear what I'm about to fucking tell you. The last thing that was ever requested from this category, which didn't happen either, some people wanted you to start the beginning of SCDA, which you normally start as Patrick, as SpongeBob, so that you can fucking cruise boost. That needed a moment of silence just then. What am I supposed to follow that up with? This actually happens. This is a real thing. I'm not lying to you. This is fucking real. People wanted you to start SCDA, specifically SCDA, as SpongeBob. You know, these complaints of like, movie's easy. You know what SpongeBob cruise boosting would do? Right? You know what it would do? No SCDA out of bounds as Patrick, which has like a somewhat difficult like speed storage exploit glitch thingy, and maneuvering back in bounds can be a little bit difficult and stuff, like, you know, getting the life grab skip and shit. That's gone. You know, toilet skip, that's gone. Oh, but I thought the run was easy, but apparently now you want to get rid of toilet skip and stuff. That's pretty strange. And for Area 2, they wanted it for Area 2 as well, by the way. That would let you skip the ending section of SCDA. We need to slam the foggers and like throw them in between the moves and the spawners to hit the buttons, which is actually hard to do optimally. Nope, they just want to cruise boost and jump over it. Okay, movie bad, Lamau, movie easy, but let's just make the run objectively easier because I'm a fucking baby and I need you to cater to me. Like, why? Again, I keep saying it. Why were we catering? Why were we catering? Because this is what it got to. It wasn't enough to get rid of the sliding and driving. It wasn't enough. Like, and especially as we, like, the routing got interesting, lag clips, you know, became a thing. That wasn't enough. You sacrifice lag clips and good loads and not getting infinite load for 5-speed cruise boosting, and that also wasn't enough. And even if we got rid of the guitar challenges, even if we let you start SCDA as SpongeBob, what then? What then? You're gonna bitch about something else. You're going to bitch about something else. I don't know what it is. You're gonna fucking bitch about something else. You're like, oh, well, now I suddenly don't like GameCube's loads being slow. I'm not playing this until there's a Cruise Boost code for Xbox. You know, something like that would have happened. And that is why this is the worst category that this game will ever have. No fucking questions asked. AWT was already, to some people, a questionable category. This takes it to the absolute fucking extreme, stripping it of all of its good qualities for the sake of SpongeBob going a little fast. And you even want to completely remove any reason to call it All World Tokens and start SCDA as a character where it is physically impossible to start as that character. Yep. And what I will say now, again, this category does exist on, like, a different leaderboard now. That, is more arbitrary. That one lets you start a SpongeBob. Like, you just press a button and you can switch to SpongeBob at any time that you want. So you can Cruise Boost, around, like, here, there, and everywhere. Additionally, UCBs exist now. They are very, very hard, and you can go extremely fast if you get them. There's one in 3K and one in Depression. They save a lot. Although, that could be potentially seen as a bad thing, because UCBs are considered kind of cancerous. But that is a thing that exists. So, the category is technically a little better in that regard. You know, it's hard now, and, like, you know. But I'm just saying, when I think of the worst category of all time, I think of this. I should have been playing the video in the background, but yeah, I think of this, essentially. You know, so this is kind of a tale of a weird category, and, like, you know, it existed to cater the people. Basically, I guess the moral of the story is, don't try to cater too hard to people. Because if you do, then you might get a situation like AWT CBC. And they'll just keep asking for more. So, I mean, you know, I'm trying to not, you know, again, try not to have my anger directed at the players or whatever. I'm just talking about it more in hindsight of just, like, there was no reason for us. It was our fault trying to cater to a community that was never going to accept us anyway. AWT exists still, on extensions, I will say. And before this Dennis route, I do think, if you're playing on Xbox, it's the best it's ever been. And I think the category's okay. But again, it's hard to shake off why it exists. But yeah. Anyway, this is a bit of a kind of, I was kind of everywhere in this video. Rip Rubber, he died there. But hopefully I got the point across. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.